if I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge and can easily trump all climate deniers' arguments, but do not have love, I have nothing. If I have a faith that can move mountains and reduce carbon back to pre-industrial revolution levels, but do not speak with love to those who think differently than I do, I gain nothing. In my opinion, love is not a portion of the answer, it is the answer. Let me say that again, just as my friends have mentioned. Love of God, love of self, and love of others is the answer to the crisis. When we love God and remember God's love for us, we let down our defenses and open up to cooperating with others, not just waiting for them to cooperate with us. When we are aligned with love, all the other stuff, the stuff that we fill up our lives with to keep us from feeling the pain of separation from God and others, falls away. Life slows down. We slow down. We live more simply. Life is less complicated. We use less resources, and we find inherent spiritual and physical satisfaction in everyday life. Our way of being and living on this planet becomes healthier for us and all of the Earth's inhabitants. And as we love God, ourselves, and others, we become secure enough to open up and even vulnerable to different points of view, different ways of being. As we love God, ourselves, and others, we realize that there is no us and them. There's only us. There's only us, and we're not in this movement to prove someone else wrong or win the debate or take over the legislative agenda, but we're here to hear what others are saying, to do our best to respect and understand each other and see the insight and perspective that they have for us. Because, as was already mentioned, we can't do this alone. We're not meant to. Love opens our hearts and guides our actions. It restores our faith and shows us what really matters. And while climate change is by far the biggest worldwide issue we've ever faced here on Earth, it's actually, in my opinion, our personal wake-up call to be who we really are in relationship with God and with everyone around us. Thank you.
I thank you all. This has been very hopeful and hopeful. I think that I would like to acknowledge the spirit that has been here with us as we talk about these issues, that climate change is something kind of wonderful in that it brings us together to recognize each other as a human family. The Interfaith Climate Group hosts two main events each year. World Religion Day is one, and then the other is the Earth Charter Anniversary, which is at the end of June. The Earth Charter says that one of the things that we need in this world today is to recognize that peace is the wholeness created by right relationships with oneself, other persons, other cultures, other life, Earth, and the larger whole of which all are a part. And in the spirit of bringing light and life to the principles of the Earth Charter, I invite you to take a look at our display over here. We do have that quotation written out, and if anyone would like, they are welcome to add their thoughts, little drawings, whatever you can bring to help us feel connected around that statement. I'd I'd like to also mention that there is an important conference coming up in Orlando this month, the 28th to the 30th of January. This is an Interfaith Climate Action Network, and it's connecting a statewide network of support to address the spiritual, emotional, and physical needs as people in Florida face the challenges of climate change. We do have flyers both at the front table and on our display. I'd like to close with the quotation that our Interfaith Climate Group has used. This is from an Interfaith Declaration on Climate Change. We recognize that climate change is not merely an economic or technical problem, but rather at its core is a moral, spiritual, and cultural one. We therefore pledge to join together to teach and guide the people who follow the call of our faiths. We must all learn to live together within the shared limits of our planet. So I'd like to open the discussion. If you have any comments or questions for our speakers, please, this is a good time.
I believe the answers are in every culture in their religious beliefs. As we've said, all major religions believe in loving one another, living a peaceful life, sacrificing for others. But it makes me think that this is, though the tools are there, the spiritual tools are there, it's a hard sell to some countries to hear us, developed Western countries. We've been the route. We've enjoyed industrialization and we've caused the problems. Now they look at us and say, wait a minute, you want us to temper our use of the environment and its resources, but we want our time in the sun too. We want to be able to develop and get some of the enjoyment out of our endeavors, and that's an attitude that's out there, and it's going to take a lot of, I think, spiritual work and time, and we don't have much time, but.
To actual statement, you're absolutely right, because I'm originally from India. With my foundation, I go there a lot, and suddenly with the IT coming on.
Hang on.
Oh,
Just a minute.
sorry.
Was that a question?
There wasn't a question.
Was
Yes, I'm putting it out there for reflection and maybe ideas, reactions. How can we do this?
I was just mentioning to her that when I visit India often, because of my foundation, and I see the change. I see the change there. The India left behind is gone India. Sadly all gone. Like you said, they have discovered the plastic, and everybody's charging. The middle class has grown, not in the real sense, very superficially, because they're buying everything. They're like so excited because the IT industry has moved there. They have huge buildings that are up all night because, in the West it is day and there's night there. So they stay up all night and they're doing the call centers. So the youth is all working for them. They finish school and they don't pursue education. They're going there, they're being paid too much in Indian money. Not enough here, but enough plenty in India for a young person to earn that sort of money. They're losing their values. In the daytime they sleep and then they're out in the evening going to restaurants, spending money. The values that the forefathers, the grandparents and all raised and we all are just totally corroding, because it's like you mentioned, everybody had the same thing when I went to China. You see everything is so fantastic, but you can't use a public bathroom there. The public bathrooms are so gross you can't use it. But then you see China, this, China, that, but the people who are so poor are still poor. They have no voices. So the television needs to be shut down. News, because they give us the wrong news. And you're right, this is happening,
Yeah, and the point you bring up, I think, is a good one. Go back to some of the concepts that I think need to be inculcated into our consciousness. One of them was the capacity to sacrifice for the whole. And I don't want to digress into too much of the technical side of things, but I forget exactly where it was I heard this the other day. The sacrifices that people are going to have to make, the changes that we're going to have to make to our carbon output are huge for us in the U.S. You know, we can change our light bulbs, we can drive a little less, we can you know, put in a better, more efficient air conditioning system. That's not going to get it done. We need much, much deeper cuts than are going to be convenient and painless. And to get back to the mention that was just made about India's middle class, I think this is on a newscast I heard yesterday. India's middle class, there are more people in India's middle class than the entire population of the U.S. So if we're being just about this, and if we really want everybody in the world to have a higher standard of living, we got to think about the implications of that, how we're going to make it work.
The one thing I would add is, if I'm understanding what you said and some of the other comments, is that we're talking about what we have to let go of and what we have to change in terms of our modern life. But also what comes to my mind is the fact that a lot of what we have going on in modern life is just filling in that empty place, that empty spiritual place that we have inside. And as we each take our own personal responsibility for reconnecting spiritually with God in whatever way God is for us, then some of the need of that falls away. And I can't speak for anybody in any other situation other than my own, and knowing my own culture. But from my personal experience and with folks that I've worked with over the years in interfaith work, is that as we come together and start to develop these relationships, some of this stuff starts to fade. The glitter of it starts to fade, and what really matters starts to come to the forefront. And to me, that's when the natural world starts taking its priority in our minds, in our consciousness. So just a thought.
Any other comments? Yes.
Well, you know, life is a journey. I think we all agree on that. Because we all realize. And the older you get, the longer the journey. And I'm pretty old. And so I've had a long journey. And I've come through a lot of things. I don't want to say I'm above them or below them. They just are part of my journey. And I've come through the whole faith thing. I was into faith, religions, blah, blah, Roman Catholic, da-da-da-da. And this meeting is interfaith, so I recognize that. That's where your reflections were. I have no negative feelings about the faith community. They're wonderful people. Most of the people I deal with, friends, are faith people. Where I have my problems is with the theology. I have a saying, I think religions would be a lot better off if they left their theology out and worked on their community exercises, building community. When I keep hearing God will fix this, God will do that. That, I understand it. You're still operating out of the pyramid. You have God up here, and then you have man, woman, by the way, and I hear a lot of old terminology about, about mankind. It should be humankind, not mankind. We got our language indicates how we're thinking, and I won't go there. But we're in the pyramid. The religions are still in the pyramid form, with God man, woman, animals, vegetation, dirt, blah, blah, blah. Once you're in that, it's like we heard very little today about the rest of the community of life, which is suffering too. It's all human concepts. We're all anthropologically oriented, a fancy 25-cent word. Probably didn't get all the syllables in there, but it's a big problem for me now, not for me personally, but to relate. Sue and I have these discussions. She's my neighbor, and we have, but the Earth Charter does not mention God. Once you mention God in the scriptural term, that's a big assumption that you're taking there. And then you're speaking in God's name. I'm not sure how you justify all that. I used to know how to do it, but I've set that aside. So that makes it very difficult to have the movement we want to save the planet if we don't make a paradigm shift, I think, and come into the circle of life. We can have God. We won't call him God because God, and do you ever hear God referred to as she? No, it's he. So we've humanized our concept of God, which is the concept of the mystery. It's a mystery, folks. And it's almost hubris when we say, I can explain it because I have the God that explains it. I don't think so. I think it's going to remain a mystery. And we have to live with the mystery. But we do know some things, and community and the religions are terrific on charity, on love, on community, on education. But when they start going to theology, it's a real disconnect for me. And it's a problem. Not for me, because I feel terrific where I am spiritually. I'm living with the unknown, with the mystery, and comfortable in it, and trusting the process. And where do I get the process? Not from the scriptures, because the scriptures are assuming that you got God telling you. No, the process is creation, which may be the same author, by the way. But I'm not saying it is. But it could be. So the process works for me. So that's just, yeah.
Comment, right?
Pardon?
That was a comment, not a question.
Can I say something? I have to just tell, everybody has a different way of looking at things, and that's what makes us so special, right? And like he mentioned, not believing a certain thing makes us, to me, what I believe in, it makes me very special. So everybody has their concept. When I came from India, I realized a few things. When I say one thing, I might be saying it in a completely different context because that's the way I was raised and that's my English to me. And when you might hear it, it might be the way you heard it. When we say mankind, I believe it's mankind, all human race. I don't believe it's women, men, children, it's all of mankind. And English is the only word that says he to God. No other Hebrew, and all these words don't say he, because God is global. It's not a he or a she or a it. It's somebody that's there. We have no description of it, just like we believe. Yeah. Maybe it's a theory, whatever it is there. So it's where you're coming from. When I became a citizen and I stepped out, and I was so happy I took my citizenship oath, I came out and they said, you have to write whether you're a Democrat or an American or a Republican. I said, can't I just be an American? They're like, no, you have to be Democrat or a Republican. I'm like, but I just want to be an American. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't decide. I know I can't. I can choose. I'll be independent and they can't. Everybody puts you in a little hole, and I understand how he feels. I don't want to be put in a hole, but to me, my feeling that I can connect with the spirit above makes me, I can fly with wings, I can do anything I want. I wake up in the morning happy, I sleep happy, my children, everything around me is happy. So anything that's making everybody happy, that's it. And like you said, that's what it is. Being happy, and it is, I understand theory and institutions have brought a lot of disgrace to a lot of faiths. So we can put that aside, but just go with the spirit within us. I just have to say that. Thank you so much.
What I really like about what John said is that idea of where we fit in. What I was hearing you say, John, was the idea that if we put ourselves at the top as human beings rather than as part of the whole, and respecting all aspects of nature and creation and any species that's a part of the Earth's environment. I've seen, I don't know, maybe it was on Facebook or a t-shirt or something, the difference between that pyramid that you described and then just the circle of life with everybody. And with, humans tucked in among fish and mammals and minerals. And so I really appreciate you raising that. That's a thought that I like to keep in the forefront.
I'll add one thing. There's a little poster over here that says, "You are a child of the universe. Get to know your family." And it's all of nature. Yes.
I was
Yeah,
Come here,
yeah,
please.
no.
Come here. Don't
Why?
stand right in his face.
Well, I need to get what. We're all equal here. Give him the microphone. It's okay.
Yeah, we can put those by the door, and people can pick them up on their way out. Yes, one more comment?
It's in reference to what John said and Kathy also, and it was the idea that if you accept the fact that we are part of a circle in that sense, then I remember thinking to myself, if that is true, then, and there are these values in there among all the people, and there's not any kind of a hierarchy. The hierarchy has gone out of this because it's a circle. So there isn't, but that if I am a human, what is my role? And I think answering the question is a way of looking at all of these things. Who am I as part of this circle of life? What is my role in this? And I think that for me, it has made it easier for me to let go of some things that I didn't really need anyway. The extra, a lot of things, it just, they don't seem to be important anymore. And I think that that's the kind of thing that needs to happen sort of like that with the whole community, is that we all need to be thinking more about, well, what is my role? You know, what does it mean to be human? And I think that would be a very interesting discussion around that, because we all have our own ideas. But I was thinking about the idea of becoming fully human, fully human. What does that mean?
Thank you.
I don't have a question either, per se, but a comment from someone putting together some of the things I've heard reminded me of something that I had the bounty of witnessing. And I present it today just as an example of how I'm hoping to change something I'm doing to make things better. But I've been in a small Mohawk school where they taught the children their Thanksgiving prayer every morning. And they had a mural on the wall about the size of that wall that was made up of creation. The mountains, the rivers, the trees, the birds, the animals. And every morning these children sat down and they said their Thanksgiving prayer and thanked the Creator, talking about ancient traditions, for every single thing in that picture. And the older children taught the younger children. It wasn't the adults telling them what they had to say. They just recited it every day. And so they automatically learned that respect for nature and their surroundings and what the Creator had given them. And I'm just thinking that it needs to become part of our lives. And if we can just pass it on a little here and a little there, that will help make the difference.
And it's also, it's an emotional connection. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that makes the difference, because those are the heart connections that really foster that desire to want to share and to give and to care for, and love and respect, yeah.
So the theme that we have taken for the Interfaith Climate Group is building community in a changing climate. And so thank you all for being here today. We are building community, learning to appreciate each other. Different beliefs don't really matter all that much. We are talking about the same wholeness and oneness. And I'd like to close with a song written by some Baha'is here in Gainesville. And it goes like this. Oh, no, sorry. Oops. Hold the phone. Do I do this every time I do?
Technology.
There we go. Sorry.
That all associate, therefore, in this great human garden, even as flowers grow and blend together side by side. Love ye all religions, and all races, where
And thank to each of you for being here. And we invite you to share some refreshments and take a few minutes to get to know each other, build some community in this changing climate. And please do take a look over here at our display table. Thank you all.